We're live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Nabakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister says terrorism is one of the gravest threats to humanity, demands global action on state-sponsored terrorism, inaugurates UN exhibition on the human cost of terrorism at UN headquarters. Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to attend the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting in Washington, regional and global developments, new proposals to advance a common vision for free and open Indo-Pacific on agenda. U.S. State Department approves sale of $510 million in munitions, guidance kits and support for Israel ahead of Netanyahu's visit to the U.S. next week as pressure for ceasefire grows. Voting underway in U.S. Senate on amendments to President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, voting on changes to tax breaks and sweeping cuts to health care and food programs. U.S. President Trump officially dismantles decades of U.S. sanctions on Syria with an executive order. Easing sanctions aims to boost foreign investment. Sanctions will remain on Bashar al-Assad and his associate. Scorching heat wave grips much of Europe, prompting authorities to issue health and wildfire warnings. Unprecedented alerts in France, Britain swelter as temperatures soar. On to the details now. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Tuesday appreciated UN Security Council's strong condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack and the need to hold its perpetrators accountable. He expressed this while speaking at the inauguration of exhibition on the human cost of terrorism at the UN headquarters in New York. Addressing diplomats, senior UN officials and envoys gathered at the venue, Jaishankar called on the international community to stand united against terrorism. He thus stressed the need to call out state-backed terrorism and extremism openly. He also underlined the shared and urgent responsibility of the global community to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations.
Terrorism is one of the gravest threats to humanity. It is the antithesis of everything that the UN stands for: human rights, rules and norms, and how nations should conduct their dealings with each other. When terrorism is supported by a state against a neighbor, when it is fueled by the bigotry of extremism, when it drives a whole host of illegal activities, it is imperative to call it out publicly. And one way of doing so is to display the havoc that it has wreaked on global society. The world must come together on some basic concepts: no impunity to terrorists, no treating them as proxies, and no yielding to nuclear blackmail. Any state sponsorship must be exposed and must be countered. By now, we know well that terrorism anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere.
Well, Minister Jaishankar will participate in the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting today. According to the ministry, the Quad Foreign Ministers will build upon the discussions held during its last meeting, which took place in Washington on January 21st this year. The MEA in a statement said, and I quote, "They will exchange views on regional and global developments, particularly those concerning the Indo-Pacific, and review the progress made on various Quad initiatives in the run-up to the Quad Leaders Summit, which will be hosted by India." The ministers are also expected to deliberate on new proposals aimed at advancing the shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will host the Quad Leaders Summit later this year, which will bring US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of Australia and Shigeru Ishiba of Japan to India. And Ghana, a name that echoes both ancient empires and modern ambition, the first sub-Saharan African nation to gain independence in 1957, Ghana has emerged as a pillar of stability and progress in West Africa. Once known as the Gold Coast, its wealth of gold, cocoa and oil has powered a dynamic economy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach Ghana on the 2nd of July, that is on Wednesday, giving a major fillip to the bilateral ties. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya with this report.
Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African nation to gain independence, has long been a beacon of stability and progress in West Africa. Formerly known as the Gold Coast, it broke free from British colonial rule in 1957, inspiring liberation movement across Africa. Now, when we look at Ghana, with gold, cocoa and now oil driving its economy, Ghana has actually transformed into one of the region's most dynamic nations. The country takes its name from the ancient Ghana Empire, a medieval trading powerhouse once upon a time. Its modern history is rich and complex, from the rise of the mighty Ashanti Kingdom in the 1700s to the British colonization and multiple Anglo-Ashanti wars. Independence came in 1957, led by Kwame Nkrumah, who helped found the non-alignment movement as well. Though Ghana faced political turbulence in the following decades, democratic stability returned in 1992 with the new constitution and multi-party election. Today, Ghana stands tall, a democratic nation with a booming youth population, thriving cultural heritage and growing global presence. The capital is Accra. The population is 32.1 million and the languages, well, apart from English, there are 11 more local languages that's there. Ghana's journey is one of resilience, pride and promise. With camera person Rakesh and more Mukesh Sharma, along with my engineer Saurav, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Ghana.
Well, the Indian Navy is scheduled to commission its latest stealth multi-role frigate INS Tamal today at Kaliningrad in Russia. This will be the last warship of the Indian Navy to have been built outside India and the 8th in the series of Krivat-class frigates inducted from Russia over the past 2 decades. Once commissioned, the 125-meter-long and 3,900-ton frigate will be deployed with the Navy's Western Naval Command, which oversees operations in the Arabian Sea and the Western Indian Ocean. Though constructed abroad, INS Tamal features over 26% indigenous systems, including the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, capable of striking both land and sea targets. Complementing its weaponry is a comprehensive set of surveillance, fire control radars and combat management systems, enhancing the ship's situational awareness and response capability in multi-domain operations. And India's Ministry of Railway has rationalized the basic fare of passenger train services to be effective from July 1st. The train fares will be increased marginally for non-AC mail and express trains by 1 paisa per kilometre and for AC classes by 2 paisa per kilometre. The ministry has said there will be no increase in suburban single journey fares and monthly season tickets. Well, the monsoon has now swept across the entire country, offering much-needed respite from the sweltering heat in Delhi NCR and other parts of North India. On Monday, the Met Department confirmed that active monsoon conditions will persist across large swathes of northwest, central and east India over the week, with heavy rainfall expected to continue. In the national capital, the season's first widespread showers on Sunday provided welcome respite from the oppressive humidity, bringing down maximum temperatures to 32.8 degrees centigrade, 5 degrees below the normal. IMD has also issued a yellow alert for the capital, forecasting light to moderate rainfall to continue until July 5th. As per the IMD, while the rainfall has brought relief from the sweltering heat, it has also triggered flash floods and landslides, particularly in the state of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. In Himachal, due to heavy rains and landslide around tunnels, traffic has been stopped on NH21 connecting Kullu and Manali to Mandi. Also, traffic has been stopped for road repairs on National Highway 305 between Saini and Banjar. Travellers are advised not to plan their visit to Mandi, Rampur and Manali. Road repair is expected to be over by afternoon. And the IMD has also issued red alerts for several states already crippling with flood-like situations. And the Goods and Services Tax, or GST, widely hailed as one of the biggest economic reforms in post-independence India, will on Tuesday complete 8 years of its success story, with collections soaring to a record 22.08 crore rupees in 2024-25, marking a year-on-year growth of 9.4%, with the number of taxpayers in its ambit surging past 1.51 crores. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had called GST path-breaking legislation for New India at its launch on July 1, 2017. 8 years on, the numbers speak for themselves, reflecting India's strong fiscal position. The average monthly collection stood at 1.84 lakh crore rupees in 2024-25, a blockbuster year. In 2020-21, the total collection was 11.37 lakh crore rupees, with a monthly average of 95,000 crore rupees. Well, Tuesday, that is 1st of July, marks the 10th anniversary of Digital India, which is proving to be a milestone in India's progress. Villages have started becoming a part of the country's Digital India campaign. Government work related to health, education and judicial services has started happening digitally. More on this report.
Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is continuously moving towards a developed India. The Digital India campaign has strengthened the resolve in this direction. The Digital India project was launched on 1st July 2015 with the aim of improving the country's digital infrastructure system. In the last 10 years, through Digital India, India has set an example of how the right use of technology can prove to be revolutionary for the development of humanity. Today, instead of cash money in our pockets, we have started keeping money in our mobile wallets, and even the poorest of the poor people are moving ahead digitally. A revolution where technology meets inclusion. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Digital India, initiatives like UPI DBT are bridging gaps, boosting transparency and bringing governance closer to every citizen, right down to the last mile. Over 44 lakh crore of rupees directly transferred to beneficiaries' accounts, while more than 2,500 times jump has been recorded in UPI transaction volume. PM Modi asserted that powered by the youth of India, we are making remarkable progress in innovation and application of technology. It is also strengthening our efforts to become self-reliant and a global tech powerhouse. Over 17,000 crore UPI transactions have been recorded in just 1 year. Today, India accounts for 49% of global real-time digital payments, a testament to the power of Digital India initiative. Besides, government's program of providing unique identification number or Aadhaar is powering India's digital identity revolution. With over 150 billion authentication transactions, Aadhaar stands as the world's largest digital ID program, empowering 141 crore Indians with a unique 12-digit identity. Also developed under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Digital India is the flagship initiative of DigiLocker. The initiative towards paperless governance, DigiLocker aims at digital empowerment of citizens by providing access to authentic digital documents to citizens' digital document wallet. DigiLocker is a secure cloud-based platform for storage, sharing, and verification of documents and certificates. India is undergoing a remarkable transformation in artificial intelligence driven by the visionary leadership of PM Modi. From setting up AI centers of excellence in premier institutes to developing indigenous models like Bharat Gen, Sarvam 1, Chitralekha, and Everest 1.0, India is making bold strides in the world of AI. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Netanyahu to visit White House for the third time under Trump's second term amid Gaza truce hopes. Thousands flee wildfires in Turkey as Europe is hit by early heat wave. And England retains unchanged 11 for second test against India starting Wednesday at Edgbaston.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, the United States has announced a $510 million sale to Israel of bomb guidance kits and related support. The proposed sale will enhance Israel's capability to meet current and future threats by improving its ability to defend Israel's borders, vital infrastructure and population centers. The State Department approved the possible sale, and the DSCA has provided the required notification to the U.S. Congress, which still needs to sign off on the transaction. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed members of the Israeli army leadership on Monday, where he claimed the West Asia would collapse without Israel. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will visit the White House next week for talks with President Donald Trump. It will be Netanyahu's third since Trump returned to power in January. Netanyahu became the first foreign leader to visit Trump in his second term in February, when the U.S. president surprised him by suddenly announcing a plan for the United States to take over Gaza. The Israeli premier visited again in April. The July 7th visit comes after Trump said that he hoped for a truce in the Palestinian territory within a week. Also, Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer is due to visit the White House this week for talks to lay the ground for Netanyahu's visit.
This administration is in constant communication with Israeli leadership, and the president himself speaks frequently, as you know, to Prime Minister Netanyahu. But this has been a priority for the president since he took office, to end this brutal war in Gaza. It is because of this president that humanitarian aid is being brought into the region. It's heartbreaking to see the images that have come out from both Israel and Gaza throughout this war, and the president wants to see it end. He wants to save lives, and however, the main priority for the president also remains to bring all of the hostages home out of Gaza.
Meanwhile, Israeli government spokesman David Menzer said that Netanyahu is working to end the campaign in Gaza.
Now, with the success of Operation Rising Lion, in partnership with our American allies, many opportunities have opened up now following this victory. The Prime Minister made clear just yesterday we need to, first of all, get the hostages out and resolve the Gaza issue and defeat Hamas. The Prime Minister made clear that we will achieve both tasks, and moving more broadly to the opportunities for peace in the entire region, broad regional possibilities are opening up.
Well, President Donald Trump on Monday signed an executive order lifting U.S. sanctions on Syria, ending the country's isolation from the global financial system. Trump on Monday formally dismantled U.S. sanctions against Syria, hoping to reintegrate the conflict-battered country into the global economy as Israel eyes ties with its new leadership. The decision follows Trump's early announcement in May that he wanted to ease sanctions to help Syria rebuild after its long civil war. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Trump's move is aimed at creating a path to prosperity and peace for Syria. However, the order keeps in place sanctions against Syria's former president Bashar al-Assad and his close associates, as well as human rights violators, drug traffickers, ISIS members and the Iranian-backed groups. The new order also officially ends the national emergency declared in 2004, which had imposed sweeping sanctions on key Syrian institutions, including its central bank. Syria's Foreign Minister Asad al-Shibani welcomed the move, saying it would open the door to long-awaited reconstruction and development. And in the United States, voting is underway to pass President Trump's One Big Beautiful bill to extend his expiring first-term tax cuts at a cost of $4.5 trillion. The package is expected to slash social welfare programs and add an eye-watering $3 trillion to the national debt. Trump wants the One Big Beautiful bill to extend its expiring first-term tax cuts at a cost of $4.5 trillion, boost military spending, and fund his plans for unprecedented mass deportations and border security. But senators eyeing 2026 midterm congressional elections are divided over savings that would strip around $1 trillion in subsidized health care from millions of the poorest Americans and add more than $3.3 trillion to the nation's already yawning budget deficits over a decade. Well, Trump wants to have the package on his desk by the time Independence Day festivities begin on Friday. The process had ground to a glacial pace by early evening. However, after members considering dozens of amendments as part of the so-called vote-a-rama required before final passage, managed to complete only 14 votes in the first 7 hours. But approval by the Senate is only half the battle, as the 940-page text will have to pass a separate vote in the House of Representatives, where several rebels in the slim Republican majority are threatening to oppose it. And moving on, a severe heat wave across southern Europe has led to extreme temperatures, triggering health warnings and wildlife alerts in several countries, including nearly all of mainland France. In France, wildfires broke out in the southwestern Aude department, where temperatures topped 40 degrees Celsius, burning 400 hectares and forcing evacuation. A video from Narbonne showed vehicles driving on a highway surrounded by smoke and flames from a nearby wildfire. Authorities said Monday that fires in southern France were under control but not fully extinguished. Weather service Météo France issued orange heat wave alerts for 84 of 101 departments, with temperatures expected to peak on Tuesday and Wednesday. In Turkey, the officials reported that wildfires broke out near residential areas in Turkey's Hatay province, leading to evacuations. Regional Governor Mustafa Masatli said at least 20 houses were vacated and people relocated to residence halls. Turkey's AFAD Emergency Management Authority said over 50,000 people have been evacuated from 5 regions, including more than 42,000 in Izmir. Also, Britons endured intense heat across parts of the country on Monday, with temperatures reaching 33 degrees Celsius in the capital, London. Temperatures in the UK were forecast to peak at around 34 degrees centigrade on Tuesday, with a heat health warning in place until Wednesday. And on to some sports news. Carlos Alcaraz survived a major scare in his Wimbledon opener, while Aryna Sabalenka kept her cool to progress to the second round. Alcaraz dug deep for a 7-5, 6-7, 7-5, 2-6, 6-1 win over 38-year-old Fabio Fognini in a grueling clash lasting 4 hours and 37 minutes. It was first time since Roger Federer narrowly beat Alejandro Falla in 2010 that a defending champion had been taken to a 5th set in the Wimbledon first round. Top women's seed Sabalenka used ice packs to beat the heat during a 6-1, 7-5 victory over Canadian qualifier Carson Brustine. The world #1 has never been beyond the Wimbledon semi-finals and missed last year's tournament with a shoulder injury. Former U.S. Open champion Daniil Medvedev, a Wimbledon semi-finalist for the past 2 years, suffered a meltdown against France's Benjamin Bonzi. Bonzi won 7-6, 3-6, 7-6, 6-2 in 3 hours and 7 minutes. Danish 8th seed Holger Rune threw away a 2-set lead to losing Chilean Nicolas Jarry. Rune won the opening 2 sets against Jarry but lost 4-6, 4-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-4, while former finalist Matteo Berrettini crashed out and Stefanos Tsitsipas retired with an injury. Former French Open winner Jelena Ostapenko was beaten 7-5, 2-6, 6-2 by Britain's Sone Kartal. And England announced its playing 11 for the second test against India, which starts at Edgbaston in Birmingham from Wednesday. The Ben Stokes-led side leads the series 1-0 and named an unchanged lineup for the second match. Josh Tongue, Bryden Cars and Chris Walkers will continue as the frontline pacers. Notably, pacers Jofra Archer, who was added to the England squad after recovering from a finger injury, was not named in the starting lineup. The ECB confirmed earlier in the day that Archer's arrival in the squad was delayed due to a family emergency. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.